Hi YouTube friends. This is probably a 5th or 6th attempt at making this video. So this box has been unboxed and fossils have been unwrapped many times. So it's really it's really not much of an unboxing. So it's going to be mostly just going over the fossils. Sorry about that, because it was really wonderfully done, and I do think it's important for you guys to see how fossils come. A lot of people might assume that it's a very dangerous thing for the fossils, and it can be if it's not done properly. So I'd like to show it when it's proper, to show you that it is, it's perfectly safe. So I'm covering up my info here. In a couple videos I forgot to do that and had to do reshoot them because my name and all that address and stuff was up there. So I remembered. Alright, so let's go to it. My first attempt, I didn't know that the bottom of the box was kind of open. So as wonderful as these guys are, these peanuts just, there's a lot of them, and they just poured out, fell everywhere. So they're fantastic to use, but if you're not careful, quite a pain. So let me get this out of the way. Okay. And what we have here are Nothosaurus fossils. A lot of you might not be familiar with Nothosaurus, but many of you may be because of the BBC documentary Chased by Sea Monsters, where it featured Nothosaurus as one of the main animals in the Triassic Sea. That is good segue to some information. They are strictly a Triassic animal, early to late. 247 to 201 million years ago. These time frames are just, they're really amazing when you think about it, how long ago it was. Now, these guys, very cool, along with placodonts, which are another cool group. Most of them resemble turtles, quite a bit, look just like turtles, some of them, but they're not actually related to turtles. But aside from the placodonts, these guys were the first animals, at least the first reptiles, to have returned to the water from when they originally came out as amphibians. Very cool. They became the most dominant group, one of the most dominant groups in the entire length of their stay during the Triassic. Very successful. The average size is between like 3 to 10 feet, give or take. I have seen, or I saw somewhere it mentioning that the largest size found was 5 to 7 meters. That is an extremely huge jump from the current or previous size to that size. It's pretty much double the size. That is very hard to believe. Now, it's hard to believe just coincidentally. But it happens. That's the kind of thing that does happen all the time. Just, comparatively, almost never, but it still happens regularly. Where you find all the a family or a species of animal, you find so many of them. Everyone you find is going to be a different size. At some point, you have to find the largest. At some point, you're going to find the smallest known ones. So it's not common. It's not uncommon at all for you to find the new largest one, and it's not unheard of for that new largest one to be significantly larger. So it's definitely a possibility. I can't help questioning it a little bit, because it does seem, it's always going to seem a little far-fetched, but also because I only saw it one place. I haven't seen that information other places, so, and it wasn't a science journal, I don't believe. So I'm going to take that 5 to 7 meters with a grain of salt, and kind of stick with the 3 to 10, or I think it's 3 to 12 foot range. These guys, very cool. They basically, in lots of ways, they were like a Triassic version of seals and sea lions. I mean, they didn't look just like them, but habits, where they lived, how they moved, how they acted, very similar. They were extremely flexible and agile, unbelievably so. Shore animals, probably spent a good amount of time in the water. They had webbed feet, but they definitely could return to land. They probably didn't ever go far from the water, because with webbed feet you're not going to be a great runner, so you're going to be well exposed. They may have just gone onto land to lay eggs and sun themselves, but again, exactly like seals and sea lions. So that's a good analogy. You can think of them pretty much just as Triassic seals and sea lions, and you'll probably have a very, very good understanding of the animal itself. Now, these are a sister taxon to plesiosaurs. Everybody knows what plesiosaurs are. Some people might say they're similar looking to plesiosaurs, except, of course, aside from the flippers, plesiosaurs have whatever size body, small tail, and super long neck. But these guys kind of divided into thirds. It's basically same size head and neck as it is body, as it is tail. They very oddly, because they kind of seem like an evolved version of plesiosaurs. It seems like these would be what plesiosaurs would eventually turn into, or a branch of them would turn into that. But instead, their fall coincides almost perfectly with the rise of plesiosaurs. So it kind of seems like plesiosaurs outcompeted them and were the direct cause of the Nothosaur extinction, which, that just seems crazy to me, because like I said, they really come off as a much better version of plesiosaurs. I mean, if that's what happened, that's what happened. I can't argue it, but I have to question to some extent. I'll take it with a grain of salt, because it just seems so weird to me that could happen. It just doesn't seem right, but it may be. They are much more flexible than plesiosaurs. Some of the things that made them better is plesiosaurs couldn't move their necks very well because of their spines, but Nothosaurs could, they could do all kinds of things, very flexible. Very unlike plesiosaurs, which were relatively very stiff, unable to do any of the kinds of stuff you see in paleo art. So it's just very weird to me. As far as I know, that's what happened, so that may be what happened. It's just very weird to me. Now, this is a Nothosaur vertebrae. You can see pretty well. It looks small, but it's actually very large compared to what you will find available. You can see the cleaning efforts around it, the scratches. They could have definitely done a better job cleaning at the sides and exposing this. but they were erring on the side of caution, and that's always the way to do it. Someday, if I become comfortable with the idea, I will clean it off some more and make it look a little bit nicer, but I have no plans for becoming comfortable with that anytime soon. You probably guessed that this is a rib. The break there occurred before or during fossilization. A break like this will very rarely happen afterwards, and if it does, it'll be very obvious. You'll have a movement of the entire strata, not just a piece of the bone at a different angle. Now, these two fossils are extremely large. They look small, and they are kind of small, but what you're going to find with Nothosaur fossils, for 99% of them, is sometimes teeth which will be the size, each one will be the size of one of these numbers or smaller. They're almost always less than 3 millimeters. Or other kinds of bones which at the most will be as large as this part, but most of them are shorter, and they can be just fragments of other kinds of bones, not relatively full bones. Vertebrae that you find would be like a sixth of the size here, maybe a little bit bigger. So these are actually very large Nothosaur specimens. I couldn't tell you what size animal this comes from because each individual along the spine is going to have different size vertebrae, and the same with the ribs. Along the rib cage there's different size ribs. If I just had to guess, I would guess that this probably came from maybe a 6 or 7 foot animal, which is pretty cool. A lot of times you find fossils, or you get fossils, it's going to be from a mid to smaller animal, just because the larger ones, of course, go for more, and people are much more interested in finding like large ones. So when I found these guys, I just immediately jumped on them. Very cool. I hadn't seen any this size before and haven't seen any since, and I am thrilled to have gotten them. I keep my eyes out for them since then, because I would always love to add some more like good size ones to the collection. I mean, if you're not looking, you're not going to see them and you're not going to get them, so it's worth just keeping an eye out. So hopefully one day I'll get lucky again, but we'll see. I'm not going to cross my fingers. So there you have it. Relatively brief description of Nothosaurus. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got through the video. Very much appreciate it if you watched the whole thing, or even part of it. Please give me a like. Please subscribe if you want to see other videos. For the time being, I'm able to get videos out pretty quickly because I don't have anything else to do at the moment, and because my phone is giving me problems, I generally try and get smaller, shorter videos out so I don't lose them over and over again, have them just disappear like I've had many times. So yeah, please subscribe and you'll keep on top of that, and eventually when the videos start coming out less and less often, you'll be up to date and see them whenever they do. So thank you, friends. I love you, and I hope to see you next time.